Hey guys, this is Christy Robinette, and I hope that this is going to be the easiest way that I can do this. I have been incredibly busy, and after every event that has an audience reading attached to it, connected to it, I end up getting a lot of visitors that come to see me before and after the events, and I often send through the people that came to visit. So sometimes they're for the people that are at the event, or they act as the medium and it's connected to them and not directly for them. And sometimes it's just because I've opened up that channel that it's for those that hopefully will find a message that's connected. That they can kind of get their heaven hello through. When I do these, it really honestly is like flipping the channels really, really quickly and getting blips of information as fast as I can. So what I get is really all that I get. And I get a lot of people that then ask me, can you give me something else? Is there, and I can't. I can't. It's like I hang up the phone immediately, answer the phone, hang up the phone, answer the phone, hang up the phone, and that connection is lost. So I did a part one and I was going to do a part two, and my husband ended up stealing me away for a couple days, and I hadn't had a chance to type it all out. So I thought maybe I'll just read my scribble over here, but I want to go through the ones that I had already submitted just in case someone didn't get claimed and maybe it's for you. So my first visitor, it was Jerry, and it was a female, and she was so much fun to talk to. She said that she had been ill for a long time, that she was a fighter. Through everything, she said she tried to keep a smile on her face, and she showed me a beautiful rainbow around her and told me to tell her family to always know that she was sending them love and more love. Paul, he was a handsome man with brown hair and hazel eyes. He said he passed from cancer and pointed to his abdomen. He was very put together and had an all-business attitude, and he wished he hadn't paid so much attention to career and that he had paid more attention to family. Debbie, she was definitely too young to pass away and had so much more to do. She stood next to her dad and wanted her family to know that she was okay. She was worried about her mom, although I didn't see any feathers, which is my sign that someone's going to pass away. And she said that things hadn't been easy for mom and all the losses, and she wanted to thank her family for putting up with her as in Debbie. John, he was a gentle, quiet man who didn't need much, and he didn't need much from anyone either. He had a beautiful, calming energy. He's a bit overweight, said he didn't care for his health here on earth, and that was one of the reasons for his passing. He showed me that most of his family was with him, and was concerned for his daughter or daughters, and that he missed them. Missed them. Walt, he was very German, showed me Frankenmuth. Frankenmuth, Michigan, it's a German town, so it's typically my sign for German or Germany. He also showed me that he had a military background and that his mom and dad had a horrible relationship and that they weren't exactly the best grandparents. He said he had reconciled and understood more now, and although that he probably wasn't the best parent either, even though he would have never admitted it here. He showed he had multiple health issues. Diane, she didn't say much and honestly was very emotional. There was a relevance to Valentine's Day. It's an important date. Might have been a passing date or a birthday, a few days before or after. She said she wanted to say more, but she was afraid that her family was upset with her, and she loves everyone, and she kept saying that. Eileen, Elaine, something along like that. There was a Florida connection with her. She loved to play cards, said she was a teacher. Lorraine or Loretta, it was an L-O name. She didn't say much, but I didn't get that it was because she wasn't a talker, but more that she had been quite ill and was still trying to find her way to the other side. She showed me a medium-sized brown dog with her, and I believe she was with her husband, who had been gone for some time. She was beautiful. She said that she was ready to pass. Phyllis, spunky lady who wanted to knock my ears off, was connected to a Jean. Or she was Phyllis Jean or something like that. I was a bit confused. She said she had a stroke, some neurological issues that had limited her quality of life. She was very happy to be on the other side. Ronald, he was connected to a Stephen. He said he hadn't been gone long and he missed his family and was adjusting to the other side. He also showed me cars, like he collected cars, worked on cars. Worked for a factory, something like that. Sandy, she said her passing was a horrible accident. There were still unanswered questions. She had this vibrant, youthful personality. She wanted her family to know that they needed to move forward, whether the person was found or not. Part two of that. I had a lot of people. I had a male that said his name was, it wasn't this, but his nickname was a Bud. And so Bud, Buddy, and he was just sort of like this very jovial person. I'd say he was probably in his 60s when he passed away. He wasn't that old. The older I get, the younger they look, and that's a for real. And he may have had a heart issue. He kept showing me his chest. There was a Joyce, and she was just a tiny petite lady, and she said that she was somebody that was never really overly, not that she wasn't friendly, but she wasn't somebody that went out of her way. She was kind of a private lady, kind of what I'd classify as kind of like the librarianish type, very tiny, petite, um, go just a ball buster type of a lady, but that she kind of felt bad that she didn't say more. And she had a bunch of animals with her. So she was a lot of fun with a lot of the animals, but it was sort of like how she was very empathic and she felt more than what she maybe let on to. There's a William or a Bill, and he showed me a boat and possibly an up north connection and or a northern Michigan connection. And he showed that he was really good working with his hands. He could fix things really easily. He was just kind of a fun guy. Like he was one of those where it'd be like, here's my finger, pull it, and then he would pretend to fart. He had that practical jokester, type of an energy, and he showed up. He was there. There was my mom's name is Sally, so I always make sure that it's not my mom, but there was a Sally that was there. She said she had a lot of stomach issues. She was on the taller side, and she showed me that got my notes. She showed me that she was um, kind of sharp-tongued. She could be kind of critical, and she showed that she was ready to go, but she felt bad, like she still had a lot of uncompleted issues that were here. There was a Millie or a Mildred, and she gave me, even the name, has kind of an old-fashioned. There was a very grandmotherly type of a feel with her, and she just showed me like mountains of blankets. So she might have crocheted or knitted, but she had like either rugs or blankets that she had everywhere. There were several young people that came through that said that they had massive heart attacks. And I mean, young as in under 40, young. And there was probably 4 to 5 men that were there that said that they had what I'd consider a widowmaker. And one of them gave me his name, the other ones didn't, but I kept getting kind of like a Ryan, or it felt like it was a Ryan to me. And he said that he was okay, and he wanted everybody to know that he was okay. And he actually took care of himself. So, for him to have that, there might have been a genetic issue, but he was typically a very healthy, considerably healthy person. He was handsome. He was a nice guy. I kept writing he was a nice guy. He was a friendly, nice guy. Like if you had a car that had a flat tire on the side of the road, he was the type that would pull over and he would help fix that tire. He was just that type of a nice guy. There were so many that were there. It was like a CO name, female. And my stepdaughter's name is Cora, and it wasn't that, but it was like that. So Coraline, something to that effect. She was on the quieter side, but she had kind of like a psychic vibe, like sort of like an empathic, psychic Native American type of a vibe to her. Someone's named after her though, or there's a grandchild that has, or a great grandchild that has her name or her middle name that was connected. There was an Al or an Albert. He had reddish hair, like reddish brown hair, and he was a kind of worked. He was a hard worker as well. He kept showing me tomato plants and like farming plants and such. So he enjoyed kind of being outside and doing things that Albert maybe it was an AL. And that's something that he enjoyed, was doing that. There was a Betsy or a Bernie, or it was a BE name, And she was the spunky lady. I wrote spunky next to her. And she was someone that had a lot of issues. Like she might have had like an MS, or she might have had like a lupus, something autoimmune, but she showed herself. She had kind of a mouth on her too, and she's the type that I would like to just sit around the table and like play euchre or pinochle with, and just chit chat. So she was a lot of fun, and she showed that she was everyone. She was like aunt to everybody, even if they weren't connected to her, they were like, it was like an aunt to them. So and then there was a lady that just kept showing me, she didn't give me a name. I was kind of confused. She kept showing me Halloween stuff, like pumpkins and something with Halloween. So she collected stuff with Halloween, or Halloween time was her favorite. And she was not that old. She was probably late 50s, early 60s. And so someone's got all of her Halloween stuff, and it's time to get it out, I guess. It was something that was important to her. There was a lot that was there, and they didn't give names, and that's what's so hard, is I try to get as much validation, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. There was a lady that said that she was killed by her husband, and possibly her son was killed as well. So, and she said it had been like 3 to 5 years. So she was fine on the other side. She had adapted on the other side, but she was worried that everybody was still, because I feel like he might have killed himself. It might have been a murder-suicide, but that she was upset because she felt like everybody was still trying to. There's just like a random, like I got something thrown at me. Um, like there wasn't any justice that was served with it, and that there was another female that said that she was murdered by what it looked like her son, and that also felt like he just sort of flipped out and then ended up killing her for really no reason. She was the spunky kind of, she had blonde hair, very tiny, petite. She was kind of like this. She would do anything for her family, anything. And she was pretty much in the wrong place at the wrong time with that. Had a beautiful African American male who was dressed to the nines. And he had a hat, kind of like a church hat, I guess. Not like an Abraham Lincoln hat, but like a church hat. And he stood there extremely proud. And I really liked him. It kind of came across as more of like a guide than a visitor, but I do believe that he was a father of somebody that was there. So he was a beautiful, beautiful being. So that is my list. I pretty much scribble all of this stuff, and it doesn't always make sense. And I know, I apologize that it's taking me this long. If if you didn't get a message, please don't think that it's because you are not loved. That's not the case at all. It really, honestly, sit in front of your TV and flash the remote control over and over, and you will find that it is very, very hard to pick up on a lot of the information. I end up getting a migraine after these because it is like information overload. But you are loved, and you all have the capability and the ability to connect with your loved ones, and they are with you always. You don't need a medium. You just need to believe, and I believe in you.